What's happening, fellas? It's your boy Hardcorn, and today we're looking at the little vampire that could, Felicia. We'll look at her skill, style, and setups to see if she's worth your gems in the first place. I'll keep this brief. Felicia moves mountains with her little arms. With 2 Taimanin arts, her very own debuff that heals her, and skill span for days, she sits at the top of the pack with Murasaki. It's a bold claim to compare Felicia like that, but if it wasn't the truth, I wouldn't say it. We'll start with Felicia's healing. Felicia doesn't have just one method of healing, but 2. Blood Scythe and Green can heal, but also the debuff can as well. Felicia is blessed with a specific debuff called Blood Marks. This allows her to heal in proportion to damage dealt, aka lifesteal. The thing is, Felicia can apply this debuff to groups of enemies on a consistent basis, effectively keeping her HP topped up or recover from trades all day. This concept is a huge draw from what I've seen because it's a consistent heal and just healing in general. Felicia also gets 2 Taimanin arts, similar to a certain Inferno Queen. However, instead of one being an inferior situation, both of Felicia's Taimanin arts are viable. Felicia's speed art is fantastic for getting high hit counts, particle generation, and hit and run tactics, not to mention armor shredding. Felicia's power art, on the other hand, is for sheer crushing power and strikes alongside throwing a projectile you can fill the screen with. Speaking of filling the screen, if there's something Felicia can do, it's vomit projectiles. Whether it's a scythe, explosion, or actual toxic vomit, Felicia is just as much range as she is melee. She is all over the place with it. Rending Scythe is what makes this all possible. It's a finishing skill that you activate on skill usage or at the end of her basic attack combo. Many of Felicia's attacks happen very quickly alongside her extremely fast basic attack, so it's doable to have 2 scythes out on the field, and even more with Slaying Spree active. You can't activate Rending Scythe off of Slaying Spree, and having 4 projectiles active on the field is off the planet enough. That's just her scythes. Evil Strange is what I refer to as Toxic Vomit, and it's just this whole huge nuclear blast that also heals Felicia. It works by applying Blood Mark on the first hit, and each subsequent hit now can heal. Thanks to crit boost inside it, it heals a lot. Across an entire crowd too. It's a great way of getting blood marks off on a crowd and not having to take her extreme dodge skill. Though with such power it comes with a few problems to balance it. The skill description clip shows the range of the skill but doesn't show that there's a small dead zone in front of Felicia. So when you use this, you can't use it at point blank. It sounds small, but when you've got 3 people up on you and you need to heal, and then you miss because of the dead zone, you're going to be a lot more careful inadvertently because you messed up your healing. Evil Strange though is secluded to blue, but that gives that color an option to heal for a more tanky playstyle. Combined with Vampiric Zone, hitting and running has never been easier. Vampiric Zone though is a very powerful skill that has its own share of problems. The problem that persists with the skill is that it activates on her current location, rather than where the hit took place. If you dodged away from an enemy and the zone activates, you just lost a large portion of your range and you may not tag the enemies you want. Thanks to this aspect, it makes Evil Strange a better applier of blood marks since it is consistent. The activation on an immediate location may be because Gremory wants you to sack up and dash into danger so you can trade damage. Vampiric Zone may deal a super important debuff, but in red, it also gives a huge buff to critical chance. Felicia has a pretty weak base attack. There's no getting around it. She wants critical chance and damage to shore up what's there. Her fast attacks with the high hit counts give many a chance to crit. To seal up the cracks to when she doesn't crit, Vampiric Zone helps out with that 20% boost. And now that we're in the money with all that crit chance, it's time to gamble and put everything on red. Orochinagi is Felicia's signature red skill, and it's probably the second thing you'll hear about her. Orochinagi is just one big hit, though it's a gamble on whether or not you hit a bunt or a home run. That's why you get stuff like Crit Magatama's, Vampiric Zone's boost, the weapons, anything to make sure that when Orochinagi hits, it hits hard. Because it's really disappointing to do all that charging and setup to only see it do one hit of 40,000 damage and now you're a sitting duck. When everything gets set up right and Orochi finally crits and deals 2 million damage, that's when you cash in your chips and survive the encounter. You bet, you won, and the house goes bust because Felicia cleaned them out with the peak of AoE damage. Building Felicia is a simple process. Just about every color is great with her. Felicia's flexibility, coverage, and longevity make it so that she can deal with any supporters you may have or not have. Here's some traditional and non-traditional solutions. Green is easy. Suruga, Kaoru, melee boosters, Akane, Nanami, and any healing boosters. All those are interchangeable and will suit just about every situation with green builds. Outside of those, you can bring stuff along like Natsume, Momoko, Hisui, and Tatsumi. Natsume and Momoko are your particle generation groupies. Felicia has particles on hit covered, while Momoko gets particles over time and Natsume is particle drops. A whole build of particles and not an Ingrid supporter in sight. Hisui is for taking advantage of Felicia's high hit counts for some real shotgun potential in a similar vein like Emily. Combine this with Tatsumi's passive damage to the two most common races in the game, it'll just be massive cascades of damage. The regular build of Saruka and Kaoru and a flex third pick will carry hardcore though, especially in green because it has high hit counts and ranged fighting, so Felicia stays very safe. Blue is hard. Felicia can't take advantage of the protect type supporters and misses out on the free damage and huge defense. However, there are many powerful defensive options that turn Felicia into a walking tank. Fairy Sakura, Haru, Blue Suzune, Haruka, Mai, the two R's, Reina, and Sakuya. Sakura and Sakuya, Blue Suzune, Haruka, and Mai are all incredible defensive supporters. These will primarily be sub-supporters for the sheer defensive capabilities alone, except for Haruka. Haruka gets main slot because you can deal 60% more damage to human enemies. Absolutely insane boost, but costs your main slot and no active skill. The two R's are a very cheap way to get 5/5 supporters in your sub slots. Their skills are also just fantastic too, as it's a solid passive heal alongside healing boosted. So you can effectively run around with SRs and Rs in blue and survive. To thrive though, you're going to need some of those previously mentioned URs or enchant those other supporters. Reina does really well to make blue pop off for essentially having a range specific Kaoru. Thankfully, her main blue skill is ranged, along with her throwing scythes as well. Red is where eagles dare. It's all about stacking damage to make Orochimaru do more damage than anything previous in the game. People hitting multi-millions isn't crazy, it's doable. Red also has a lot of very strong welfares that straight up boost base damage. It takes strong base stats to make these big hits. You could just run Homura, Stella, and Shiryuki and do incredible damage. That's just raw damage. Felicia can make use of more niche setups in red like particle generation. Her speed art also drastically increases the hit count, so supporters that increase particle effects like Ingrid and Shizuka make it so that multiple ults per stage is a real thing. That's not all. Felicia can also inflict her own debuffs, so that she can make use of Hibiki, Shizuru, and Red Suzune for sheer debuff chopping. Red is just a garden of potential for her, and it's why I stick to it so much. Inside it, she can do just about anything. Alright, let's wrap it up. Felicia is absolutely mean in terms of just pure damage potential. I mean, her speed and strength make her untouchable for the most part. It's just very tough for a lot of characters to directly compete, because for the most part, nobody can. I mean, since they lack in some sort of way. Felicia really is just fast Murasaki. Though where Felicia differs from Mu-chan is that the lack of armor and also having to deal more with technique to get her healing and her moves off. Quite honestly, both of them are just strength versus dex of the characters. Where Felicia's strength fails, technique delivers. For the most part, I can feel myself getting lost in the sauce of Felicia's effects and speed that I miss what's going on around me. As opposed to someone like Shizuru where things go slowly and I can gauge peripherals easy. Felicia is like driving a race car with blinders on and then there's a wall coming. The thrill is there, you can't miss the power, and danger is everywhere. What I'm trying to say is that you gotta take a breath, slow down, and pick them off. Felicia is fantastic at doing that. And if you like flatties, if you like power, and if you like being as chuny as it gets, then go to her. Run, and don't ever look back.
Oh lord, it wasn't that something. Thanks for coming on out and learning with your boy Hardcorn. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment too, because I'd love to hear from you guys and maybe get some ideas from where to go next. And as always, I'll see you next time.